it's 2025, and that means I need to pick some books. So I'm very much a mood reader, but I also need to give myself some direction. So I've picked 25 books that I need to get to this year. And considering I read about 70 a year, that still gives me heaps of wiggle room. So I just need to actually read these and actually hold myself accountable and check back in at the end of 2025 if I did this. So I've got a few different genres. I've got ones that are on here for different reasons. I'm just going to take you through them. All right, first I have Temper by Lane Fargo. I am not a massive horror thriller girly, but when I heard about this one, I had to pick it up. So this is a psychological horror about people that go to an acting school, and it's the kind of psychological things that they're going to make them do. So I don't want to know everything, but I'm just really interested to see if it's kind of just almost borderline torturing people so that they have experience to pull from, or what are they going to do to these people? And it's short, so I need to know. Next, I have The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I've had this on my shelf for an awfully long time, and I just need to read it. And I didn't read a lot of kind of adult fantasy this year. It's not last year. I read a lot of romantasy and just contemporary romance, and I'm like, let's go. Let's dig in. So this is a grim, dark fantasy that I've just heard so much about. I don't know too much about what the actual plot is, but I just want to jump in. The 100,000 Kingdoms by N.K. Jemisin. I read the 5th season, and that's one of my favourite books of all time. So I have been sitting around and not getting to their backlist. So here it is. Again, don't know too much about this one, other than that I love the author. So I'm going to read it. Oh, it's her debut! It's feeling like it's royal, it's court intrigue and some magic. Let's go. The Sword of Kaigan by M.L. Wong. And this is a chunk, but it's a standalone fantasy, which is really rare these days. I've been hearing about this back from ages ago, and it's kind of getting a resurgence, and I want to know. And I think it's going to make me cry. So that's kind of also why I got the physical, because I wanted to have fun underlining and destroying myself. The Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Mars. This is a relatively new release, and I love a Greek myth retelling. So I was like, okay, so tell me we've got Greek gods and a competition, and Hercules is a girl. Let's fucking go. Oh no! Spartan War Academy. Perfect. Next, I have Long Live Evil by Sarah Rees Brennan. I have yet to read this author, but when I heard about the premise of this one, I was like, give me it. Give me it now. We follow a girl who, she gets sucked into one of her favorite romantasy books, but she's the villain. And she gets through with the bad guy. / she is the bad guy. And I'm like, and it's purple and it's cool. That's all I need. And I'm kind of hoping this isn't the thing where it's like, no, why is this magical thing happening to me? I hope she's like, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Because I feel like most of us would be like that, you know? One that I have been dragging my feet on, it's pretty shameful, I haven't gotten to it yet, is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir, which this is one of the OG YA fantasies that's just been gathering dust for years on my shelf. And I just know it's Roman inspired. It's giving Antigone a little bit. Another one I've had for quite a while is Black Prism by Brent Weeks. I heard about this years ago from Reagan at Peruse Project, and I was like, that's so cool, I want to read it. And then I just haven't. But it's also because it's 5 books that are all this big, and I have lots of books to get to. But so this is just, sweeping fantasy series, but where light and color, reflection and refracting is magic. And I was like, I need this. I want to know. And from what I remember, I believe this is also a magic system that's got consequences. It's not just oh, magic. It's you can use that magic, but you're going to have to deal with this. All right. Next, I have some books that are specifically for Babe, which is the Ball Gowns and Books event, which is in Sydney this year. So me and a bunch of my girls, we have been like studying, basically researching like the authors that are going and trying to read as many of them as we can to actually be excited to meet some of these people or to actually want to buy their books, because my books are out of control if you haven't noticed. So the first one I have is Say You Swear by Megan Brandy, and I believe this is a football college romance, which like in general I haven't read too many of them, so I don't know if it's my thing. But my bestie Bethany read this and was like obsessed. So I need to know what it's about and get on the hype train. Next babe one is Pestilence by Laura Thalassa. I've read her book Rhapsodic, and I've also got Bewitched, but this is like the Horseman of the Apocalypse. So that's all I need to know. And I'll meet you soon, Laura. All right, and I've got 3 more for babe. I've got Hate by Tate James. She's like one of the main like hosts of the event, so I'm hoping I really like her. And like I've just seen a lot of fan art and stuff about this one, and I believe it's more kind of like criminal, fun, reverse harem. After being framed for a deadly riot, oh no, messed with the wrong chick. I've also got Die For You by Lauren Jackson, which like this cover's fun. And I just know it's vampires. It's vampires. I feel like vampires might slowly be getting a resurgence. And like 16 to 18-year-old me was obsessed with vampires. So let's do it. And the second one's already out. I don't know if it's finished, but the last one's like the one I'm probably most excited for, which is Bonded by Thorns by Elizabeth Helen, which I bought this right before the covers changed, so they will never match. But I kind of like that I have this one. Like, look at it. Cool. So it's Beauty and the Beast like vibes, and it's like reverse harem fantasy, and I think some of them are wolves. Someone else on BookTube has just been like singing the praises of this series, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I'll read it. Give me it. Signs of Cupidity by Raven Kennedy. So Raven Kennedy also wrote the Plated Prisoners series, which starts with Guild, which is like one of my now all-time favorite series. And she's just got this one sitting around. So I think it's like 5 books. They're all quite short. And it's just like a romantasy with like Cupid characters. Or like, I am a Cupid. Yeah. A Cupid. Heartless by Elsie Silver. So originally she was also coming to Babe. She's not anymore. But I read Flawless. And I really want to get to Heartless. Because a lot of people say this is their favourite one. Because I think this is like the single dad, nanny trope, which like let's go. I love it. I love it. Similar to Elsie, I've got Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. So she also was coming to Babe. She unfortunately had to pull out as well. But so I read Praise and I really loved it because like, you know, it's kind of sexy, dirty, funny. But like we also just have good character moments, and from what I know, it's handled very maturely. I really don't like when kink or dark romances are just like abuse, and this series at least so far hasn't been that. So I am excited to keep following like our cast of characters that are the salacious players. The End Crowns All by B. Fitzgerald was 2 years ago now that I read her other book, Girl Goddess Queen, which was a retelling of Hades and Persephone. It was kind of YA, but it was just like the most beautiful writing, and like I just had the best time reading it. So this is her sophomore novel, if you will, which is not a sequel, but it's another Greek myth retelling, except this time we are following Apollo and Cassandra and Helen of Sparta. Yeah. And I just have lots of fun with these as well, because like I know like basics of Greek gods, but I don't know everything. So I don't remember everything. So it kind of feels like rediscovering every time I read a retelling, which is really fun. Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro, which this has been on my shelf for years as well. And I've only read one other book by this author, which was Never Let Me Go. I made the mistake of watching the movie first, and then I liked the movie better than the book. So, but this is about our robot Clara, who's like learning humanity and empathy and love, which is like one of my favorite tropes. So I think there's a very high chance I'm gonna like this. And also with that musical Maybe Happy Ending that's been doing well on Broadway with my fave Darren Criss. It just feels like the same. The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. Look at this cover. Look at it. Oh my god. I just know this is a magic library. I know it's a magic library. So I bought the first and second book to make the match. I have yet to read Mark Lawrence yet. They've also written, is it Red Sister? Next, I need to catch up on my girl Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey is like my favourite romance author. But because I've been caught up reading other series and for Babe and everything, I'm so behind. I've got such a large backlist. So I really want to get to Love Her or Lose Her, which is the second book in the Hot and Hammered series, which the first one is Fix Her Up, which was really cute. This one is going to be a bit more like, oh, because it's like a couple that's already married and they're kind of working through their drama. But it's kind of like characters we're following from the first book. And then, of course, I have Fangirl Down, which is the start of her like little sports romance series. But he's like a golf player, which feels really random. But especially I wanted to get to this series next from Tessa because she's got the third one coming out, which I've already pre-ordered, which is Dream Girl Drama. And as a theatre kid, I was like, I need to read that like immediately. I need a sip of water. Somebody somewhere. Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. I have read both the Throttled, the Dirty Air series, and Dreamland Billionaires. And now these first two are out in this series and I haven't read it yet. So I think it's like, it's fresh, but it might have like a little bit of references to Dreamland. So I'm hopeful. And it's just giving like The Block. Like The Block, but make it preppy. And I trust this woman to write a good book. One more Greek myth retelling I've got is Electra by Jennifer Saint. 3 or 4 years ago, I want to say, I read Ariadne. And it was so good. Like the feminist in me was like, yes! The human in me was like, yes! The tears in me were like, yes! And it's kind of like one of those things where like the plot isn't super like rip-roaring. It's more just like a slow character look at Greek myths. And so because I love the first one so much, I've bought the rest of her books. She's got like another 2 after this. She's got Hera and Clytemnestra. Clytemnestra is someone else. Atalanta. And I just keep putting it off because it's not really a series and I'm trying to read other things and it's just a lot. But it's so pretty. They're all so pretty. And I just want to feed my brain. So I've been reading a lot of fluff and I'm like, I want some things that are a bit more as well. Okay, we're down to the last 2. So my goal is after Babe to catch up on the Cosme. So it's more than these 2 books, but at a minimum, I need to read Rhythm of War and Wind and Truth this year. I have not read Rhythm of War yet. This one's just come out. They're massive. But this man knows how to write fucking fantasy. The problem is I will need to reread Way of Kings through to Oathbringer to get to these for it to make the best impact. So I've also got the last 2 books in Mistborn Era 2 to go as well, which I feel like I will read them, but these are a bit more high priority for me. I'll still read those first. So it's got The Lost Metal and Bands of Morning, or Shadows of Hell, Bands of Morning. I've also got some of the secret projects left. I haven't done the Sunlit Man or Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. So I need to do those. Actually, not as many Cosmo as I thought. Those are my 25 books I gotta read this year. If you've read any of these and you're like, that's my favorite book, or that's shit, I'm probably still gonna read it anyway, but just tell me. Give me a little heads up if you have read any of these and your thoughts. And if you have any major books that you're looking forward to reading this year. I've also got a bunch of anticipated releases for this year, but I'm having that as a separate category in my head. I will make a video on that soon. And you have a wonderful day. Bye.